Second chance wide receivers. We did a running back version of this video. Now we're back for the wide receiver. And this group is kind of hard to believe in. There's a lot of negative aspects of each one of these players' situations. Cooper Kupp, his age, he's moving teams. DK Metcalf, is he going to stay healthy? What's going on in that Seattle offense? Will he get traded? And if they dumb down the pass a little bit, JSN benefits, DK might not, or will he? Olave can't stay healthy. MHJ can't get the ball. Debo, where is he going to be playing football? Ayuk, injured, head case, who knows? Pickens, head case, bad situation. Who's his quarterback? Tyreek Hill, turning 31 years old in March. This is pretty bleak. Okay, show's over. See you later. No, there are a couple positives here. Let's kick it off. The Fantasy Football Show. Second chance wide receivers begins right now. Okay, so I'm going to start off with Tyreek Hill. We'll kind of go in order. Tyreek Hill, hard to believe in because he comes out of 2024 as a pretty bad finisher. And I'll pull up the wide receiver finishers from 2024. Tyreek Hill, number 18. Now, some of these, you don't see like a name like MHJ in here. Even a guy like Puka Nacua is not in the top 24. He's 26, I believe. That's because he missed games. So you got to account for all of that. But Tyreek Hill, he didn't miss a single game. He did not miss a single game, and he was wide receiver 18. It is really hard to buy into the fact that he didn't miss a game, finished right here, and he's turning 31 in March. So I'm not real impressed with Tyreek Hill walking into this season, but I will say that they're probably going to try and throw the damn ball a little bit more, and they're probably going to have a little bit better chance of doing that. The hope that I have comes from Bobby Slowick, who was the offensive coordinator over in Houston. Walking out of 2023, he could have any head coaching job he wanted. He was Ben Johnson exciting to everybody, and he got fired after one more additional year. But look what he did with Joe Mixon. Look what he did with what he had. He had no wide receivers. They all went down. We know what he did the year prior with CJ Stroud, Tank Dell, Nico Collins. And the fact that he took Joe Mixon and revived him and made him play amazing football for double-digit weeks, I mean, it was a phenomenal thing to see. And people act like he's trash. He failed the Houston Texans. He didn't. I think the Texans gave up on him way too early. So he's brought over, Bobby Slowick is brought over as the Dolphins passing game coordinator. And that's fantastic news. I'll put that on screen right here. Passing game coordinator. I think that could be a little bit of a difference maker, not just because I think Tyreek Hill, has the capability of bouncing back a little bit. I don't know how much. I don't think he can be the number one wide receiver in fantasy anymore. I think you're going to probably get like a string of good games and then he gets hurt. And so right now off the jump, I'm going to tell you I'm not investing in Tyreek Hill anywhere near top 24 overall value. Not top 24 wide receiver value, top 24 overall. Would I take him in the fourth round? Yeah, but will he be there? Probably not. He'll probably go in the third round or second round. And if I'm sitting there at the 3-4 turn, would I consider drafting Tyreek Hill? Not in a home league, not in a league where I've got three of them, a buddy league, whatever, or if in your work leagues. Don't draft him in one of the 2 or 3 home leagues that you do, redraft leagues. Draft him in best ball. Take advantage of the underdog promo code Smitty. $3, $5 drafts, and you can saturate until your heart's content, a certain specific contest. Let's say little board or the big board or a puppy draft, a puppy 2, a puppy 3. Maybe you take Tyreek Hill in a bunch of those and then don't touch Tyreek Hill the rest of the year in best ball. That's the way to approach a player like Tyreek Hill. Use best ball. But the reason I'm excited about in general, the Miami Dolphins and specifically Achane, is that I think Bobby Slowick, even though he's only touching the passing game as the passing game coordinator, he's going to throw the ball to Achane. He's going to construct plays and architect stuff for him. But more importantly, if Tua's struggles might go away to a degree, and even if Tua went down, I think he is more capable than Miami Mike McDaniel of letting this offense play well to some degree. Use Achane appropriately if Tua is out of the game. So this gives me overall hope for Miami to be better when things get bleak, to be better when things are great. I think Bobby Slowick will improve every facet of the Miami Dolphin offense, and including and especially Achane. But Tyreek Hill, to me, is a big risk, and I would take him as my 4th drafted player in a very select number of leagues, but not even every league, not even 50% of my leagues, not even 20% of my leagues. I would not take him in 20% of my leagues as my fourth drafted player, but I would take him in a handful of best ball at that territory, and I'd take him in a decent amount in one specific contest, focalize it, just compartmentalize it, take him in the third round in a couple of those scenarios. I'm not interested. George Pickens, talented as can be, top 5 to 10 wide receiver physically, but this guy, I don't believe in him. I don't trust him. I don't trust his situation. I don't trust his coach. I'm staying away from everything Pittsburgh Steeler unless Fields is brought back and I could draft him in a super flex or as a backup. I like Fields a lot. I don't trust the situation at all. I'm not going near George Pickens, not anywhere near his ADP. And, we pull up the finishes from 2025, as I mentioned a minute ago, and you've got no Pickens to be found. Where the hell is George Pickens? Where the hell is George Pickens? And how many games did he play? Let's pull it up. George Pickens finished as wide receiver. I'm scrolling all the way down. George Pickens, 42. How many games did he miss? Well, looky here. He only missed 3 games. He missed 3 games, and he finished as wide receiver 42. I'm not about that. I don't want anything to do with this situation. I'm not even going to promote any of you draft George Pickens. Not anywhere near his cost of entry. And if it falls later, we'll play it by ear. Cooper Kupp. I like Cooper Kupp. Why? Because he's going to cost you nothing. You're going to get him as your maybe 4th wide receiver. You're going to get him in potentially round 10, 11, 9, 14. Who the hell knows where his ADP is going to fluctuate to. I think when he gets traded, there might be a little bit of hype. Where does he go? Obviously, that matters. But I think right now, in general, you can say very loosely that no matter where he goes, he'll probably be very damn cheap and cost you very little, and the risk is going to be near zero. And so why not grab a share if he's in Washington, if he's in, I don't know, Cincinnati and Buffalo? Those are all pretty good situations that I bank on Kupp having a string of games. I think like Tyreek Hill, will we see him ever return to form? No. Will we ever see either one of these guys return to form? No. But could we see a month of football? 6 weeks of football, 4 months, and then injury, and then 2 more weeks after that. So like 6 games of them playing really good. And in best ball, that can help you because you don't decide when to put a guy in your lineup. They get automatically started for you. So even in best ball, again, I'm a little bit more willing to draft these guys anyway. But Cooper Kupp, I'm intrigued based on where he goes. And if I've got to make a decision now to grab him in double-digit rounds or round 10 or whatever, I'm fine with it. You're not going to lose the league on that. You could, I don't want to say win a league on that, but you could definitely have a nice little advantage if he does well from the 10th round territory, but you will not lose a league drafting Cooper Kupp this year. Olave, man, I like him. We loved him here. He's an amazing talent. I would invest in him in best ball for similar reasons I mentioned earlier. In best ball, promo code Smitty, link in description. They'll match your first deposit 50%. As I mentioned in best ball, you're able to weather through a guy playing like amazing for 4 weeks and then going out for the year, and then you've got other players that get subbed in for you automatically. Makes a lot more sense to invest in him in best ball. In redraft and home leagues, I'm not about it. I don't want to go near risky players in redraft non-best ball. I don't. Why? The guy's had tremendous amount of concussions and his situation is absolutely horrible. But I probably say I would take some gambles on him in best ball in the 3rd and 4th round, like at the turn. But I don't know that I'm going to draft him in a single redraft home league in the 3rd round. Not because he can't earn it, but because there are just a handful of players I like better. Even if you say, you know what, I'm going to go wide receiver in round 4, and I'm going to go Josh Allen, or I'm going to go, Jalen Hurts or whatever instead of Olave. That's smarter football. That's smarter fantasy football management. And so, end of day, more of an avoid than anything. But I'm rooting for him, and the talent's there, but the risk is enormous until we see proof that he's not going to keep getting concussed, and his career could be over with one hit. He could never have another concussion, never again, though. So we have to keep that in mind, and that's why I do want to invest in best ball, but not in redraft, not in non-best ball. I'd say there's just too many other options. MHJ, I kind of like MHJ, this year's value. Of course, I love the guy. I love the player. I love the skill. I hate the situation. I hate Kyler Murray for him. He's not a good fit. Kyler Murray said things like when a reporter asked, hey, why don't you throw the ball to MHJ more? And Kyler Murray said something along the lines of, I throw to where my coaches tell me. Some weeks the coaches tell me to throw to MHJ. Some weeks they don't. And I feel like I'm the only one asking the question. I feel like nobody else is asking this very vital question. Who the hell plays football like that at the quarterback position? Nobody. You have check downs. You have progressions. You go through a progression tree. You do have design plays. Deebo Samuel, perfect example. We'll get to him in a minute where there's a design play for him. But you don't do that with the entire Cardinal offense. What are we talking about here? You're telling me, Kyler Murray, you're told to throw to this guy every play. You're told where to throw the ball. And maybe it becomes a big thing we find out later. Like the guy could never see over the offensive line ever. Kind of like the guy that went to college that couldn't read, and then he admits it later in life. I got my master's degree, and I didn't know how to read. Let me tell you how that went down. And everyone's like baffled by the story in hindsight or after the fact. That might be this situation. Kyler Murray could never even look over the offensive line. He was told who to throw the ball to. Throw the ball 50 degrees to the right. Just throw it over the offensive line. What are we talking about? So I don't know what to tell you. I can't guarantee that this man's going to get the ball enough to warrant third round value, because that's kind of where MHJ is going right now. I think I got the ADP data right here. He's going in the 35 overall territory. That is at the end of round 3, turning into round 4. That's not bad. Even if MHJ fails you miserably in terms of your expectation, and, pulling up MHJ's numbers, wide receiver 29-ish. He had some games. He had a string of touchdowns in the beginning of the year. He had 2 touchdowns in week 2, 1 touchdown in week 3, 1 touchdown in week 4. There's potential for Kyler and MHJ. It's just the consistency of it. The lack of consistency makes you want to run for the hills. But looking at the end of the year, it's like this is the yardage total for MHJ in week 12 on. I'm not skipping a week, trying to make this sound a certain way. 47, 60, 49, 32, 39, 96, and then 63. And in that time, he had 2 touchdowns. A lot to be desired, but there's also a tremendous amount of skill. And if anybody says that MHJ's a bust and he's not a good player and he's slow and they don't know ball. They don't know ball because MHJ still has the ability to be a top 5 wide receiver in the National Football League and in fantasy football. So at the 3-4 turn, I'm willing to take that gamble, even in non-best ball, but probably only in one league if you do 4 of them. Okay, one league, even if you did 5 leagues. So 20% is what I'm looking for max to invest in him in home leagues. And in best ball, you're doing $3 and $5 drafts on Underdog. Throw a bunch of attempts at MHJ at 3-4 turn value. That's fine for me. This is, out of all the players so far, this is the only one I'm really liking the idea of investing in out of the guys we've listed so far. Hill, Pickens, Kupp, Olave. I'm liking this one, but this is a bleak group. I like DK Metcalf a lot as well, and I know this is he finished right around where MHJ did. So we're talking about similar numbers. We're talking about very little touchdown production. He had 2 touchdowns in the first 3 weeks, then he had nothing for 3 weeks, then he had a touchdown, then he had about, 5 or 6 straight games with no scores at all. He had 3 100-yard games at the very beginning of the year in weeks 2, 3, and 4. He had back-to-back 100-yard games, 2 touchdowns in that 3-game span. Really, the first 4 weeks of the season, DK was looking like he was going to be a top 10 wide receiver, no doubt about it. That excites me that there was a glimmer of hope during last year where we come out of the year going, DK's trash. In the beginning of that year, there was a glimmer of hope he was a top 5 wide receiver. He had, again, let me read the line in order. 3 catches, 29 yards, no touchdowns week 1. Very, very bad week 1 against the Broncos. Week 2, 3, and 4. He had 129 yards and 10 receptions and a touchdown, 104 yards and a touchdown, and 104 yards and no touchdowns. That was back-to-back weeks 2, 3, and 4. That's really good. There's hope here. And DK Metcalf, always kind of banged up. I think there's a chance he gets traded. There's a chance he doesn't. Even if he doesn't, this is at any moment in time, a 10 touchdown guy, 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. His reception total last year was 66. I think he could easily get 75 in 2025, 70, 75. Even if they dialed back the passing attack a little bit, and they're going to run the ball, try and get some balance in Seattle. And Kubiak comes from a great bloodline. This guy is gonna be, I think, very good for the Seattle Seahawks offense and balance it out. Run's going to support the pass. And even if they dial back the pass a little bit, you've got JSN and DK kind of commanding all the work now in Seattle. And that's enough for DK to get you 1,010. You know, it's possible. I really like his value, and his ADP, DK Metcalf's ADP is 50. That's pretty damn good. That's pretty, you're talking about 5th round value for DK Metcalf. You're talking about going at 50 overall versus like last year, he was like the top of 3. I want to say the top of 3 is where he's going. 50 overall. You're talking about, in some cases, 54, 55, like the beginning of round 5 to the middle of round 5. And when you maybe skip wide receiver and you build a lot of robust RB teams, this is a great wide receiver too, a fantastic wide receiver too. You could even go running back, or running back Bowers, running back quarterback DK as your wide receiver 1 if you want to get crazy. But point is that he's got 10 touchdown capability. I really like DK Metcalf. I'd say maybe him and MHJ are a tier break above all of these guys because there's so much risk everywhere. But at the ADPs, cost of entry, Metcalf and MHJ, the risk is really almost, I don't want to say 100% baked in.
Take a lap, take a lap. Button. Take a lap, take a lap.
Baked in. The risk is really baked in. I would say there's not zero risk, but there's very little risk and a lot of upside. Debo, look, I'll be quick here and just say we've done a lot of Debo shows so far. He's going to get traded. My boy Raj, who gave us a percentage yesterday, where Raj said that there's a 0% chance that Debo is a 49er in 2025. I think I have Raj's message right here. Yeah, this is for my boy RSF 49ers, Raj. I asked him to give me a quote I could put on my show, and he said 75% chance he's traded, 25% chance he gets cut and then signs with another team with a post-June 1st designation. Either way, he's gone. That's from Raj, a Niner fan, biggest Niner page out there. So Debo's gone. The question is, where does he go? Does he go to the Buffalo Bills? That could be pretty good. And then I'm kind of in, as certain value. Depends on where his ADP is. Is his ADP... according to the ADP rankings that I've got right here that I just pulled up and went over, Debo Samuel's ADP is really reasonable. It is all the way down at 72 overall. So as much as I want to doubt him and say he's garbage, he's trash, he'll never be the same, he's not even in shape right now, according to, video footage we've seen from him at the Super Bowl, and he's gaining some lbs, he's carrying more weight. That's bad for a player that has injury concerns and mileage. But like at 72 overall, if we're getting him there or anywhere around there, and we're anticipating him to go to Buffalo and we nail that, or we anticipate him to go to Washington and we nail that and draft him early in best ball on Underdog, promo code Smitty, 50% matching your first deposit, well, then you're making out like a bandit. If you draft him at 40 because his value goes up because he's in Washington, then you've got a whole nother way to need to look at whether it's a good cost of entry or not. But right now, his ADP is 72. 72. I'm smashing that in best ball, because if it doesn't work out, I don't care. I don't lose. I'm probably getting some value in best ball because I don't ever have to start him on my own. He started whenever he has a good game, and if he has 4 good games and gets hurt, like, I'm getting that production in best ball. Probably not taking him in as many non-best ball redraft leagues, but at 70, I'm still probably taking that plunge. So I'd say Metcalf, MHJ by far the best players on this board for second chance wide receivers. But Debo's looking pretty good at ADP. If it climbs, then maybe we won't like him. And Brandon Ayuk. I'm not a fan of Brandon Ayuk on really any level. I loved him coming out of college. It is what it is. but Ayuk is coming back from a devastating knee injury. He seems to be not in a good mental place, wasn't before the injury, couldn't stay healthy this year. So, you can blame that on freak occurrence, the way that his knee injury happened, but he wasn't in good shape. He wasn't ready. There's a lot of ways you could try and explain why he was in the situation he was in, or you could just say it was a freak knee injury. Smitty, how you talking like this? Look, he was playing like trash. Even if he comes back and he's 100%, which he won't be, and they say he might be ready for week 1, even if he's rushing it, he won't be 100%, and he was playing like trash when he was healthy. And Jennings probably passed him on the depth chart. And now you've got a nice sophomore wide receiver in Ricky Pearsall that may have also passed him on the depth chart, at least while he's hurt and not 100%. So, his headspace is going to be wild. I'm not going near Ayuk. And his ADP, I don't even care where his ADP is, but let me look up to see where his ADP is. It's probably something you're overpaying greatly. Debo's at 72. Ayuk is at 74. Jennings is at 75. McMillan's at 77. And Egbuka's at 78, the rookie wide receiver. Pearsall's at 84. It's not not horrible value, but I'm still, if we go to running backs and we go to the 70s, I think that's where you got to look at it and say, okay, I'd rather take these RBs. You got Tyrone Tracy at 72. You got Jaylen Warren at 86. You got Ramondre Stevenson at 100. Travis Etienne at 102. Tank Bigsby and Zach Charbonnet right around the 115 to 120s. Give me that all day over an injured head in a bad headspace Brandon Ayuk. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to grab a wide receiver. Maybe he is slotted okay for wide receivers, but he is nowhere near slotted well in comparison to the RB, so you go RB shopping. Thank you for watching Second Chance Wide Receivers. Make sure you get on over to the Patreon, where for $10 a month, cancel anytime. Link in description, patreon.com/The Fantasy Football Show if you want to go there on your own. Live chatting. 24/7, 365 live chatting, $10 a month. Cancel anytime. It's like a cup of coffee. Try it out. See if you like chatting live with everybody. I'm in there a lot. And then don't forget to get on over to my website. I've been doing this for 24 plus straight years. I had content up when there were really only about 12 of us that had websites up back in 2003 for fantasy football content. I've been doing it that long. thefantasyfootballshow.com. I got into the business in 2003 because no one had a trade calculator. And I said, damn it, I'm going to make a trade calculator. And I just got so involved in the industry. I got onto the radio show, did that for 19 straight years on the radio's longest terrestrial radio, longest running radio show in the world. It went 23 years. I was a part of it for 19 straight years before the pandemic took it out. But that was an amazing time, and we just evolved, and now we're here. The bread and butter of the channel is now the YouTube channel and the content site still. So make sure you're involved in both communities, and that Patreon community is really the YouTube live chat community. Just swung on over to the Patreon. So patreon.com/The Fantasy Football Show, thefantasyfootballshow.com. Go check it out, learn about it, see you all later. And don't forget, I'm live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday. And additionally live whenever big news breaks. And don't forget the Dynasty channel, which link is in the description. I got a Dynasty channel too, youtube.com/Dynasty Fantasy Football. See you all later.